This means she wants you too much, but she's fighting her feelings hard, psychology tricks. The greatest mistake in love is assuming silence means indifference. There is a kind of woman most men misunderstand completely. She isn't distant because she doesn't care. She isn't cold because she lacks interest. In fact, the truth is far more unsettling. She feels too much, and that intensity frightens her. When her emotions start to run deeper than she can control, something strange happens. Instead of moving closer, she pulls back. Instead of warmth, she shows restraint. And instead of clarity, she creates confusion. Not to manipulate you, but to protect herself. Here's the paradox most men miss. The stronger her attraction, the stronger her resistance becomes. To a man, this feels illogical. If a woman wants you, shouldn't she lean in? Shouldn't she be consistent, open, affectionate? That assumption is exactly why so many men walk away from women who were far more invested than they realized. When a woman is battling her feelings, her behavior becomes contradictory. One moment she's fully present, engaged, playful, emotionally open. The next, she withdraws without explanation. She shares personal thoughts, then treats you like you're just another option. She watches you from across the room, but looks away the second your eyes meet. From the outside, it looks like disinterest. From the inside, it's emotional self-defense. What's really happening is psychological conflict. When her feelings grow intense, her mind flags you as a risk, not because you're dangerous, but because losing you would hurt too much. Desire collides with fear, and fear often wins the first few rounds. There's a lesser-known psychological response behind this behavior. When something feels overwhelmingly rewarding, the brain can reverse its reaction and trigger avoidance instead of pursuit. The more she wants you, the more she tries to regain control by creating distance. This is why her signals feel mixed. This is why her behavior feels inconsistent. And this is why logic alone won't help you interpret her actions. Understanding this changes everything. You stop taking her withdrawal personally. You stop chasing clarity in the wrong moments. And most importantly, you stop mislabeling fear as rejection. Because when a woman finally feels emotionally safe, when the threat of loss no longer outweighs the pull of desire, she stops resisting. The walls come down, the confusion fades, and what she's been fighting becomes impossible to hide. The real challenge isn't making her feel more, it's helping her feel safe enough to stop running from what she already feels. The psychological defense behind her behavior. When a woman starts to feel something deep, especially when those feelings are growing fast, her natural defense mechanisms kick in. This isn't about whether she wants you or not, it's about her survival instinct. Her mind is doing what it believes is best for her, protecting her from potential heartbreak or emotional pain. The strange thing is, the harder she tries to push those feelings away, the more intense they become. Her inner thoughts start to send her messages like, if I don't let myself get too attached, I won't get hurt. Or, if I keep a distance, I'll be safe from any potential emotional turmoil. And so she tries to act like she doesn't care, hoping that somehow, if she just ignores her feelings, they'll vanish. But that's not how feelings work. You can't just wish them away. The more you try to suppress something real, the stronger it tends to become. This psychological trick doesn't just make the feelings grow, it leads to cracks in her emotional armor, moments when her guard slips just enough for you to catch a glimpse of the truth. But there's a big twist here, something that will likely surprise you. It's a sign that most men misunderstand completely. In fact, they often think it means the opposite of what it actually does. And when I first encountered this psychology trick, I didn't believe it either. But once you understand what's happening under the surface, you'll start to see it everywhere. And I promise you, after today, you'll never misread her behavior again. Let's dive into it. Women are incredibly complex, and understanding female psychology isn't always straightforward. One of the trickiest things to decode is how she fights her own feelings. It's not because she doesn't want you, it's just that her brain is programmed to protect her. It's an instinct. You see, the more intense her feelings get, the more she needs to maintain control. If she allows herself to be vulnerable, to truly care, there's always a risk of getting hurt. So her defense mechanism is to act distant, detached, or nonchalant, hoping that by doing so, the feelings she's developing will somehow disappear. And here's the thing, she might convince herself that this is the best way to deal with the situation, but in reality, the harder she tries to suppress the feelings, the more they begin to manifest in subtle and unexpected ways. For example, when a woman is fighting her feelings for you, one of the things she might do is start pulling away. You'll notice her becoming less responsive, less interested in engaging with you. She may even seem like she's lost interest altogether. But deep down, this is actually a sign that she's struggling with what she's feeling. It's not about you, it's about her own emotional conflict. She might start to act cold or distant, but her feelings are still there, simmering beneath the surface. And here's the psychological trick. The more she pulls away, the more she's actually revealing how strongly she feels. The more she tries to hide it, the more obvious it becomes that her heart is invested. Now let's focus on that sign I mentioned earlier, the one that's so counterintuitive it might just blow your mind. It's the moment when she becomes playful, teasing, or a little bit sarcastic. Most men will look at this behavior and think, she's not interested, she's just playing games. But in reality, this is often a sign that she is extremely interested, but her mind is fighting against those feelings. She's testing the waters, seeing how you'll react, and trying to control the situation by keeping it light. It's a way for her to feel out whether you're really into her without fully exposing her vulnerability. If she's being playful, it means she's opening up, even if just a little bit. It's a subtle sign of attraction, hidden beneath a layer of humor or sarcasm. So, what should you be looking for when it comes to the signs she's fighting her feelings? The key is to understand the psychology tricks at play. Female psychology can be complicated, but once you start recognizing these signs, you'll be able to read her like a book. The first sign is when she's emotionally distant. This is a defense mechanism. The second sign is when she starts to pull away or act aloof. Again, it's her brain trying to protect her. But the third sign, the one that will really shock you, is when she starts to act playful or teasing. That's when you know she's feeling something deep, even though she's trying to keep it under control. This is where most men get it wrong. They see her behavior and think, she's not into me, she's playing hard to get, or worse, she's not interested at all. But in reality, this playful, teasing behavior is often a sign that she's feeling something powerful. She's trying to navigate her own emotions, and in the process, she might be testing you to see if you're as invested as she is. So the next time you notice her pulling away, acting distant, or teasing you, don't take it at face value. These are all signs of female psychology at work. They're her way of protecting herself, of fighting her feelings while still secretly hoping that you'll understand what's going on beneath the surface. Understanding these psychology tricks will not only help you read her better, but it will also give you the tools you need to connect with her on a deeper level. You see, love isn't always about grand gestures or perfect moments. Sometimes it's about recognizing the subtle signs that reveal how someone truly feels, even when they're trying to hide it. When you understand how to read these psychological cues, you'll be better equipped to handle the complexities of love and attraction. You'll know that when she's acting distant or playful, it's not a sign that she's not interested. It's a sign that she's fighting her own emotions, and you have the power to help her overcome that fear. So the next time she's acting distant, teasing, or pulling away, remember this: it's not about you. It's about her own internal struggle. The key to winning her heart isn't to chase after her when she pulls away. It's to stay calm, confident, and patient, and let her come to you when she's ready to fully embrace her feelings. And trust me, once you learn to recognize these psychology tricks, you'll never misread a woman again. Sign 1. Inconsistent attention with a pattern. Let's talk about a common but easily misunderstood sign: inconsistent attention. It's the type of behavior that has most men scratching their heads, wondering if she's playing games or if something's wrong. You'll notice it right away. One day she's texting you long, thoughtful messages, laughing at your jokes, asking about your day, and even sending those little sweet texts that make your heart race. But then, the next day, radio silence. The texts go from paragraphs to one-word replies. She seems suddenly busy with everything but you, and you're left wondering if you did something wrong. Don't be fooled into thinking she's being flaky or uninterested. This is a sign of her fighting her own feelings. Her behavior is not random, and it's not about you doing something to make her pull away. It's a psychological battle playing out in her mind. She's not avoiding you out of disinterest. She's avoiding vulnerability. Every time the connection grows deeper, she feels a wave of panic surge inside her. She's not trying to push you away. She's trying to protect herself from feeling too much. This is where you need to be aware. Her behavior follows a pattern that you can track, a pattern that will unlock her emotional world if you pay close attention. The key here is timing. When you notice the shifts in her attention, take note of what happens right before. If you just had a really great conversation or a moment where you two connected on a deeper level, chances are that's the trigger. It's almost like a switch in her mind flips, and suddenly she feels overwhelmed by the emotional intensity. Her defense mechanism kicks in, and she starts pulling back. You might even notice it happening regularly. After each meaningful, real conversation, she withdraws. Don't mistake it for rejection. It's simply a woman wrestling with her emotions and trying to keep control. Here's where it gets really interesting and a little mind-blowing. The better the connection feels, the harder she pulls away. Let that sink in. If you just had an amazing date where you laughed, connected, and felt like things were going smoothly, don't be surprised if she goes cold for a few days afterward. That's not a sign that she's lost interest. It's her freaking out about how much she enjoyed it. In her mind, the stronger the connection, the scarier it becomes. The closer she feels to you, the more her fear of vulnerability kicks in, and so she retreats, trying to regain control of her emotions. Here's the thing, you can't make this about you. You didn't do anything wrong, you didn't say the wrong thing or do something that pushed her away. In fact, you were likely doing everything right. You were authentic, confident, and fun, the traits of a high-value man that naturally attract women. What's happening here is about her own emotional battles. She's simply processing her feelings and trying to protect herself from the intensity of it all. You must remember this. She can't stay away for long. The feelings are too strong for her to ignore, no matter how hard she tries to. Don't be frustrated by her inconsistency. Be patient and observant. Look at the pattern. Over time, you'll start to see the cycle for what it is. After she pulls away, she'll come back. It might be a day or a week later, but she'll reach out. She always does. And when she does, you'll know that it's because her feelings for you are too strong for her to resist. The moment you connect deeply, she feels it too. But the vulnerability scares her. She runs, but only for a short while. This pattern is a classic example of how feminine psychology works. Women are wired to protect their emotions, and sometimes the best way to do that is to create distance when things feel too real. But this doesn't mean they're not interested or don't care. Quite the opposite, they care a lot, sometimes too much. The stronger your connection, the more she'll retreat, but also the more she'll want to come back. It's a constant push and pull, a dance of emotions. If you're a high-value man, you've probably already developed a solid sense of who you are, what you want, and what you bring to the table. This self-assurance is key in these situations. You see, a man who's grounded in his masculine energy doesn't chase or worry when a woman pulls away. Instead, he understands that her behavior is about her internal struggles, not his actions. He doesn't chase, he stays steady, and that stability is what ultimately attracts her back. Now, when she reaches out again, you don't need to act surprised or too eager. Be calm and confident. Let her take the lead. Don't chase her down after she pulls away, and don't bombard her with questions about why she's been distant. That will only make her more anxious. Instead, let her come to you on her own terms. The key is not to be reactive, but to remain the strong, grounded man you've always been. You must hold your ground in these moments and trust that she'll return when she's ready. The more you maintain your masculine energy, the more she'll respect you and be drawn to you. A woman who's fighting her feelings isn't necessarily backing off because she's not interested. In fact, it's often the opposite. She's feeling things too deeply and is trying to protect herself from getting hurt. When you understand this, you'll stop questioning her behavior. You'll stop second-guessing every little thing and start embracing your role as a man who attracts women through his strength and patience. When she comes back, you'll know that her feelings are real because she wouldn't come back if they weren't. She can't fight it forever. Just as you can't fight your true feelings, neither can she. And once she's ready to let those feelings out, she'll do so in her own time. Your job is to remain strong, stable, and confident, always attractive in your masculine energy, and always ready to support her when she finally opens up. So if you notice her inconsistent attention, don't panic. Watch the pattern and understand that her pulling away is part of the process. You don't have to chase her. You don't have to worry. You must stay grounded in your high value. Let her come to you when she's ready, and watch how your connection strengthens as you both work through this emotional dance. Trust in the process and trust in your own power as a high-value man who knows exactly what he brings to the table. If you recognize these signs, you're not mistaken. She's fighting her feelings because they're real. Don't let this confuse you. Stay grounded and stay strong. If you agree with this, drop a comment right now. I stay strong even when the connection pulls away. Like this video, subscribe for more powerful insights, and remember, the deeper the connection, the harder she pulls back, but she always comes back. Stay confident, stay in control. Sign 2. Body language and jealous curiosity. When it comes to understanding a woman's hidden feelings, especially when she's fighting them hard, pay close attention to her body language and subtle signs of jealousy. These often reveal much more than words ever could. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest proponents of Stoicism, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." It's all about reading the unspoken signals, understanding the depth of the emotions at play, and using that knowledge to navigate the relationship with clarity and purpose. Her body language is the first and most important clue. A woman who is struggling with her feelings will often exhibit behaviors that give her inner conflict away. She might seem drawn to you, yet pull away just as quickly. She could lean in during a conversation, then suddenly step back, touch her arm, or fiddle with her hair. These are all signs of inner tension. Her body is literally trying to decide whether to move toward you or protect itself from vulnerability. She might seem emotionally distant at times, yet show deep interest in your every word. These contradictions are telling. But there's one key gesture that reveals the truth in a way nothing else can. When a woman touches her neck or collarbone around you, it's an unconscious display of vulnerability. The neck is one of the most exposed areas of the body, and when she touches it, it shows that she's feeling emotionally exposed. This is not something she's consciously doing. It's a natural response to a moment of emotional openness. When you notice this, recognize it as a sign that her feelings are at play and she's silently grappling with them. The Stoics would call this facing the discomfort, understanding that true strength comes from embracing vulnerability rather than avoiding it. Another telltale sign is when she asks about other women. This might seem like casual curiosity, but beneath the surface, it's a test. She might ask questions like, "Are you seeing anyone?" or "What's your type?" These questions may appear to be harmless small talk, but don't be fooled. Watch her face closely when you answer. Pay attention to that micro expression that flashes for just a moment, a brief shift in her gaze, a slight tightening of the jaw, or a flicker of jealousy in her eyes. That's the moment when you know for certain that she's trying to gauge if there's competition for your attention. As the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Her reaction, however brief, reveals her true feelings. This behavior is rooted in something deeper. When a woman who is fighting her feelings asks about your romantic life, she's revealing more than just curiosity. She's telling you, without words, "I care more than I want to admit." It's a sign of vulnerability and emotional investment, even though she might be trying hard to hide it. The old Stoic wisdom teaches us to recognize these moments of emotional exposure and not to shy away from them, but to approach them with an iron mind, cool, calculated, and confident. She may be struggling with her emotions, but you, as a man, must remain grounded in your own emotional control, embodying the Stoic principle of keeping your thoughts and actions steady regardless of external circumstances. These signs of jealousy and vulnerability are often overlooked by men who focus only on the obvious, but the real strength lies in the ability to observe and interpret these subtle shifts in behavior. The Stoic mindset teaches us that the world is unpredictable, but how we respond to it is entirely in our control. When you see these signs, understand that the woman in question is navigating her own inner conflict, and it's up to you to handle the situation with wisdom and patience. As you move forward, remember that relationships are built on more than just actions. They are formed in the spaces between words, in the gestures that reveal hidden truths. An old Stoic saying goes, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought of as a fool by others, but never let that make you act like one." Don't rush into conclusions. Instead, observe her behavior, listen to what's left unsaid, and remain calm under pressure. When you maintain emotional control, like the Stoic ideal of the iron mind, you not only increase your chances of success in the relationship, but also build your personal strength. In modern life, the battle between emotional desire and rational thinking is one we all face, but the Stoics remind us to approach everything with balance. You should handle these situations by applying emotional intelligence, understanding the subtle cues, and using them to make clear, thoughtful decisions. By cultivating an iron mind, like the Stoics before us, we learn to master not just our relationships, but our very lives. So, as you move forward, whether you're navigating a relationship or any aspect of life, keep these principles in mind. Recognize the emotional signals people send, remain calm and grounded when faced with uncertainty, and approach every situation with the clarity and wisdom that comes from embracing the old Stoic wisdom. It's about winning by staying true to yourself, understanding others, and taking control of your own emotional destiny. With Stoicism, you don't just win, you become the master of your life. Sign 3. She gets meaner the more she likes you. You might be reading this and thinking, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. But trust me, this is one of the most fascinating and yet confusing signs that she's falling for you. It sounds counterintuitive, I know, but hear me out. She gets meaner the more she likes you. No, I'm not talking about cruel, abusive behavior. I'm talking about something subtler, the teasing, the sarcasm, the playful insults that sting just a little. If you've been on the receiving end of this, don't jump to conclusions. What's really going on is far more complex than it seems, and it's all tied to female psychology and the fascinating ways our minds react when we develop feelings for someone. First things first, let's explore why this happens. This behavior comes from a psychological defense mechanism known as reaction formation. It's a little trick our minds play on us when we feel emotions that we aren't quite ready to face or express. Instead of owning up to the feelings, the person reacts in the opposite way to protect themselves. In this case, instead of admitting that she's interested, attracted to you, or even falling in love, she does the exact opposite. She teases you, makes fun of you, or challenges everything you say. It's almost as if she's trying to create emotional distance between the two of you. And here's where it gets interesting. The more she likes you, the more she fights those feelings, and the more intense this behavior becomes. You might wonder, why would she push me away if she likes me? Well, that's where the complexity of female psychology comes in. The truth is, admitting that she likes you or has feelings for you puts her in a vulnerable position. It makes her feel exposed, and vulnerability is something that many people, especially women, tend to avoid. They don't want to appear weak, insecure, or desperate. So, instead of being upfront about her feelings, she hides behind humor, sarcasm, and playful jabs. It's a way to mask her true emotions and keep herself safe from getting hurt. And in a strange way, the more she likes you, the more she feels the need to protect herself by keeping her distance in this peculiar way. But here's the catch. While this behavior might seem like she's not interested, it's actually a sign that she's feeling something deeper than she's willing to admit. Her teasing is a psychological trick she uses to guard herself from the very feelings she's trying to hide. So, when she teases you or challenges everything you say, remember that it's not a reflection of how she truly feels about you. It's just her emotional defense mechanism at work. And the more she likes you, the more intense this behavior can become, because the deeper her feelings, the greater the risk of getting hurt if she lets herself fall too fast. So, what should you do in this situation? Should you give up, back off, and let her be? No. The key is to stay grounded and not let her playful jabs throw you off course. It's tempting to get frustrated or to think she's not serious about you, but that's exactly what she wants you to think. What she really needs is for you to be steady and consistent. She needs to see that you're not intimidated by her teasing or sarcasm. That's where you can stand out. When she sees that you're not scared off by her jokes or her tendency to push you away, she'll start to feel more comfortable. The walls she's built around herself will begin to soften, and that's when things can really change. Now, here's the real secret. This is where it gets even more powerful. If you truly want to understand her feelings, you need to look beyond the surface. When you become vulnerable with her, when you share something real, something that's important to you, you'll see a massive shift in her behavior. Suddenly, the sarcasm will disappear, the teasing will stop, her tone will change, and you'll notice a softness in her eyes that wasn't there before. That's the moment when her emotional walls begin to come down. The tough exterior she's been showing is nothing more than armor. It's her way of protecting herself, but when you reveal your own vulnerability, you invite her to let down her guard too. That's when you'll see her true self, the person who's been hiding behind all the jokes and the playful insults. That's when you'll realize that everything else was just a defense mechanism to keep herself safe. This shift is powerful. It shows that she's not just playing games, she's fighting her own feelings. And once you understand that, you'll know exactly what to do next. Instead of backing away or retreating, stay close. Keep being the person who doesn't run away when things get tough. Show her that you're not intimidated by her emotional distance and that you're not going to judge her for being afraid of falling in love. When you do that, you'll be showing her how to fall in love with you in a way that's genuine and lasting. But the key is to stay true to yourself. Don't let her teasing or sarcasm make you doubt her feelings. Instead, embrace it as a sign that she likes you more than she's letting on. This is a psychology trick that plays out in real life, and it's one that can really help you understand her better. And the more you understand female psychology, the more you'll be able to navigate this tricky but fascinating journey. So what does all of this mean for you? It means that when she gets meaner or more sarcastic, it's not a sign to run. It's a sign to stay. It's a sign that she's fighting her own feelings, and if you stay calm, steady, and consistent, you'll eventually see the softer, more vulnerable side of her. That's when you'll know that all her teasing was just a way of protecting herself from the very feelings she was trying to avoid. And when she lets down her walls, that's when you'll know you've truly won her heart. Remember, how to fall in love isn't always about the smooth moments or the easy conversations. Sometimes it's about enduring the playful insults and staying strong enough to show her that you're someone worth trusting. When you do that, you'll see how the psychology tricks she's using can work in your favor, leading her to open up to you in ways she never expected. If you found this insight valuable, like, comment below, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips on understanding human behavior. Comment to remember, the more she teases, the more she's hiding her true feelings. Additional behavioral signs. She's obsessed but won't admit it. Let's face it, when a woman is falling for you but isn't ready to admit it yet, there are some unmistakable signs. And no, these aren't just random behaviors. These are psychological cues that show how deeply her feelings go. As a high-value man, it's essential that you can spot these signs. Understanding them not only helps you in building attraction, but also empowers you to understand the deeper psychology of what she's really thinking. Let's break it down, one sign at a time, so you can truly understand what's happening behind the scenes when she's trying to fight her feelings for you. Sign 1. She remembers everything. Here's the first major giveaway. She remembers everything. And I'm talking about the little things. The story you told her 3 weeks ago about your childhood dog. She brings it up out of nowhere. That food you casually mentioned that you don't like? She remembers it the next time you're ordering dinner together. The goals you've been working toward? She asks about your progress, showing genuine interest. Now, let me tell you, this isn't some sort of random coincidence. This is a big deal, And it's all happening because she's fighting her feelings for you. Here's why this happens. When we are genuinely attracted to someone, our brains release dopamine, also known as the feel-good chemical. Dopamine plays a crucial role in forming memories. And because dopamine is released every time she thinks about you, her brain is naturally encoding every little detail about you, whether she wants it to or not. It's not like she's sitting there consciously deciding, I need to remember this. No, her brain is working in overdrive, retaining the tiniest of details simply because you matter to her. When you're a high-value man who's able to command attention and focus, it's no surprise that someone who's genuinely attracted to you is paying close attention to every word you say. This, my friend, is a surefire sign she's feeling a lot more than she's letting on. If she remembers all the little details about your life, don't just dismiss it. She's not just being thoughtful, she's subconsciously marking you as significant in her mind. This is a powerful indicator of attraction. Sign 2. She's nervous around you. Now, let's dive into something even more specific. You might think, no way this can happen every time, but trust me, it does. She's nervous around you in a way she isn't with others. You've seen it. With her friends, she's confident, funny, and at ease. But with you, there's something different. There's this energy in the air, a slight tension that wasn't there before. Watch her body language closely. Does she touch her face more when talking to you? Does she adjust her clothes, smooth out a wrinkle in her shirt, or check how she's sitting or standing? These little signs aren't about discomfort in a negative sense. They're about her attraction to you and her subconscious need to manage how she's presenting herself around you. Let's be clear, these are not signs of being uncomfortable in a bad way. What you're seeing is attraction in its rawest form. She's trying to control how she appears to you. She's hyper-aware of herself, trying to make sure that she's at her best. That's what makes it so fascinating. You're a masculine energy presence, and without even realizing it, you've got her a little off balance, and that's what she's trying to control. It's natural to feel this nervous energy when you're around someone you have strong feelings for, and when it's happening around you, that's a sign she's feeling something deep, even if she's trying to hide it. This nervousness is something you'll need to pay attention to, as it signals that her mind and heart are in a battle she doesn't want to confront just yet. Sign 3. She mirrors your body language. Let's go deeper into her subconscious. Now, here's the big one. She mirrors your body language, and then, just as quickly, catches herself and pulls back. At first glance, this may seem like just a coincidence, but when you notice it happening consistently, it's not. It's a subconscious signal that her attraction for you is undeniable. Your body language is contagious. When someone feels connected to you, their body naturally starts mimicking yours. She leans in when you talk, draws closer to you as if instinctively wanting to connect, but then, for some reason, she suddenly pulls back. This is her subconscious mind, betraying the careful distance she's trying to maintain. Her body is telling you she wants to be closer, but her mind is fighting it. Why? Because admitting how much she likes you would mean giving in to vulnerability, and that's something she's not ready to do just yet. This is one of the clearest signs of fighting her feelings. And while it might seem like she's just playing it cool or being coy, don't be fooled. Her body is giving her away. The more she mirrors your actions, the stronger the attraction. Yet her mind is still trying to maintain control over her emotions, which is why you see the sudden pullback. This battle between her body wanting to get closer and her mind telling her to hold back is the perfect reflection of what's happening in her heart. It's a fascinating psychological push and pull that's happening every time you're around her. What this means for you as a high-value man. When you put all these signs together, one thing becomes very clear. She's into you, but she's also holding back. This doesn't mean she's playing games or trying to be difficult. No, it's a sign of attraction that's simply too strong for her to ignore, yet too intimidating for her to embrace fully. As a high-value man, you must recognize this. The best way to handle these signs is by maintaining your masculine energy, your calm, confident, and grounded presence. Don't chase her. Let her come to you. Keep being yourself, and allow her to see that you're the kind of man who doesn't buckle under pressure or intensity. Women, especially those who are attracted to you but aren't ready to admit it, are watching how you handle these moments of subtle tension. They want to see if you can remain steady, if you can continue being the man they admire, even when they're trying to pull away. You must remain patient, and you must be able to recognize these cues for what they are. If you respond the right way, she'll begin to trust you more, and those walls will start to crumble. Don't miss the moment. In these moments, you're not just a passive observer, you're an active participant in her emotional journey. She's giving you all these clues, her body language, her memory of details, her nervous energy, but now it's up to you to decide how to respond. Don't let the moment slip by. When you show her that you see through her defenses and recognize her feelings, you'll become the kind of man who attracts women at a deeper level. It's not about playing mind games. It's about understanding psychology and using that knowledge to build real, lasting connections. You must embrace your role as a high-value man, strong, steady, and self-assured. Once you do, you'll not only attract her, but you'll also keep her coming back for more. So be mindful of these signs. Masculine energy isn't just about being strong, it's about understanding the subtleties of attraction and knowing how to navigate the delicate dance between emotions and actions. That's how you become the man she can't resist. Additional behavioral signs. When a woman is fighting her feelings for you, many men instinctively make the same mistake, and it's the worst thing you can do. The worst part? They don't realize it's the very action that guarantees they lose her forever. It's simple. They either push too hard or retreat completely. Neither is a winning move, but the second one is far more damaging. The key to mastering this situation lies in understanding the psychology behind her resistance. If you attempt to rush things, demand answers, or confess your feelings in hopes of receiving a similar confession, you're only solidifying her defense. She'll feel trapped, and her emotional walls will only grow stronger. The truth is, you cannot force her to surrender to her emotions. You cannot reason or logic her into acknowledging how she feels. Overloading her with attention or affection isn't the solution either. It will only trigger her to pull away. On the flip side, walking away and hoping she'll eventually figure it out isn't the answer either. When a woman is struggling with her feelings, the last thing she needs is to feel like she can't depend on you. She'll convince herself it wasn't real, that she avoided a mistake, that her guard was rightfully in place. But you, as a man with the wisdom of old Stoic wisdom, know this: patience, understanding, and subtlety are the ways to handle the situation. Stoicism teaches us that, in times of emotional turbulence, it's our ability to master our own reactions that brings us victory. By not giving in to the temptation of rushing things, by cultivating an iron mind and allowing her the space she needs, you demonstrate emotional strength and discipline. When you stand firm, unwavering, and calm, you're not just surviving the situation, you're controlling it. Understand this: the moment you stop desperately seeking clarity and instead focus on staying centered, you've already gained ground. You win by mastering yourself, not by forcing her to make a decision. That's where real power lies: the power of patience and quiet confidence. When you embody this, you're not just following a strategy. You're embracing a mindset that makes you unstoppable. You're not merely reacting. You're leading with wisdom, creating an environment where she can open up to you on her own terms. Old Stoic wisdom teaches us to remain unmoved by the chaos of the world, and that's what you must do now. Remain calm, remain steady. This is the true path to winning her heart. The strategy that actually works. When dealing with a woman who's playing hot and cold, the strategy that truly works is simpler than you think, and yet many men overlook it. First, don't mirror her behavior. Don't get caught up in matching her unpredictability. Instead, be consistent. When she's inconsistent, stay steady. Be the calm in her emotional storm. Remain grounded. Show her that you're not going anywhere, but also that you're not desperate. Just be there, solid and reliable. This simple act sends a powerful message to her subconscious. You're not going to hurt her, and her fears are unnecessary. Slowly, she starts to feel like it's safe to lower her guard. This is one of the best psychology tricks for dealing with a woman who's unsure of her feelings. It's all about showing her that you can be relied upon, no matter what she's throwing your way. But there's more. You must give her space, not in a ghosting way, but in a way that lets her breathe. Step back, don't crowd her, and absolutely avoid pressing her for answers or demanding to define what's happening between you two. Don't ask, "What are we?" or "Why are you acting this way?" Instead, let her process things in her own time. The more pressure you apply, the harder she'll fight against it. Space creates room for her to miss you, to feel what she's really missing. But here's the twist. When you give her space, don't disappear completely. Reappear with value. Come back with something that brightens her day, like a funny story, an interesting article, or something that made you think of her. This starts a pattern in her mind. When you're around, life feels better. When you're gone, she begins to miss that feeling of positivity and connection. Now let's talk about vulnerability, but not just any vulnerability, strategic vulnerability. Be the one to open up first, but do so in a way that adds depth, not weakness. Share something real about yourself, your dreams, your goals, or something you're working through, but don't unload your insecurities. Vulnerability, when done right, isn't about weakness. It's about showing emotional depth. When you do this, you create an environment where she can feel safe enough to be vulnerable herself. And this is where the magic happens. Her emotional walls start to come down. You're not just a guy in her life anymore. You're someone she can connect with on a deeper level. One of the most important psychology tricks to keep in mind is not to react to her tests. Yes, she will test you. She'll pull back to see if you chase her. She'll act indifferent to see if you'll get needy. She might even mention other guys just to test your jealousy. But here's the key. Don't react. Don't get cold or distant, but don't chase after her either. Stay centered, stay true to your own value. When she sees that you don't need her validation, that you're not desperate for her attention, something powerful shifts. The power dynamic begins to change. She starts wondering if, in fact, she might be the one who's about to lose you. That's when her mindset changes. That's when she starts thinking about you in a way that goes beyond simple attraction. She begins to feel something deeper. In the world of female psychology, one of the most effective tricks is to maintain your own self-worth. The more you demonstrate that you don't need her for validation, the more she'll be drawn to you. You see, a woman will never respect a man who is constantly seeking her approval. But when you remain grounded, unshaken by her emotional shifts, you become someone she sees as strong, reliable, and ultimately irresistible. The goal isn't to manipulate or control. It's to create a healthy space for her emotions to flow naturally. By mastering these psychology tricks and understanding how to fall in love with someone from a place of emotional safety, you'll not only improve your relationship but also create the kind of bond that stands the test of time. Hey there, I hope you've enjoyed today's video and that it gave you some valuable insights. Now, here's the most important piece of advice I can give you. Live your life fully, no matter what. Whether she's in it or not, keep growing, building, and thriving. When she sees that you're not waiting around for her to figure out her feelings, something shifts in her mind. The fear of losing you becomes bigger than the fear of getting close, and that's when she'll stop fighting those feelings. But here's the kicker. There's one psychological trigger that can change everything. It's called loss aversion. People are wired to fear losing something more than the desire to gain it. As long as she thinks you'll be there, she can keep fighting her feelings. But the moment she senses you might move on, not in a manipulative way, but genuinely investing in your own life, that's when she'll realize she doesn't want to lose you. If this resonates with you, drop a thank you in the comments so I know you're really getting it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because next week I'm revealing the exact words to say when she finally stops fighting and admits how she feels. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.